Life is about rhythm. We vibrate our hearts, our pumping blood. We are rhythm machine. That's what we are, Mickey Hart. Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your guest, Chad.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
And I'm your co-host, Brandon. I'm loading stuff up, so I'm not looking at the stuff.
We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That is how we roll. Like a good set of dice. Or a bad set of dice. I guess they all roll.
Or a drum roll.
I can't drum, but yes, a drum roll. I love that. Right on beat. All right, so today's main topic, I'm super excited. We are going to be discussing the Bard College of Percussion with my friend Chad Lynch. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, guys.
Today, Chad.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm a big fan of your content. Obviously, you've collaborated on DM's Guild with a lot of different people. This product really stood out to me. It wasn't something that I had considered, but until I actually read through it, it's really well done, and I'm excited to dig into it.
Oh, thanks.
For those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you
Sure.
do in the world of D&D?
Sure. Well, my name is Chad Lynch. I started doing some D&D writing in 2019, and in June, I'm best friends with Jeff Stevens, and I was thinking about doing some writing. So I just reached out to him and said, "Hey, Jeff, you do some of this, right? So can you show me how to do this or how to do this?" So he would kind of help me out early on, and that was that. Then I just started jumping in and making stuff.
Yeah, Jeff, honestly, Jeff's the reason why we got into it as well.
Nothing like being taught by the master.
Right?
Yeah.
When he was
Don't
on
say
the
that in front of him, though, because
Right.
it goes to his head.
we had him on the show one time, and I asked him, he was telling us about, how he got into it. And I specifically remember when he first decided to do it. And his quote was, "Well, I was looking through this stuff and I figured, I can write at least this good."
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah,
I'm going to give it a try. And it was that moment that I realized I wanted to be a part of it. And he's been a great help. So
yeah, he's a great dude.
because of
Yeah,
him.
in fact, I don't know if you knew this, but Jeff and I played in the same college drum line together.
That's
So that's
awesome.
how I met him. I met him back in 1990. We were on the drum line at Northeast Missouri State. It's now Truman State University.
Oh, wow.
And so I've known him for a long time. So
World.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. All right, so we're here to talk the Bard College of Percussion. The Bards of Percussion manipulate the emotions of those around them. I already love the flavor you've got going on here. They are excellent communicators, know the hearts of those around them, and are in tune with the surroundings, whether on or off the battlefield. That is a really, really great detail. So you mentioned I wanted to ask, kind of you writing this Bard College, but it sounds like we already know you were on the drum line.
Yeah. So yeah, I was on the drum line in college. I played drums since I was 6 years old. Just started taking drum lessons. It's been just a big part of my life.
Mhm.
And I also in the town of Ankeny, Iowa, where I'm from, I help out. I've been helping out with a high school drum line as a coach for 22 years, helping
Wow.
kids learn how to play drums. And I play at my church, and I just do whatever I can. Music's one of those things where you can learn it, and you can do it even when you're old. It's which is great, kind of like gaming. So.
As somebody who has zero rhythm, I really appreciate anybody that has this talent, because I try to clock a rhythm and it falls apart after like 30 seconds every time, which is why I was never as good as Brandon at DDR. So there's a lot in this. We already getting some comments from some of our followers who have already picked it up. Dulcinea says she's still blown away by the incredible variety in percussion instruments, even just in the subclass material. So why don't we dig into this a little bit? I pulled up the PDF for everyone to kind of get a look through. And if there's something that we kind of scroll by that you think you want to delve into a little more, please do.
Actually, on the special thanks part, this is so one of the band directors that I work with. His name is Dr. Jake Teben. He's got his doctorate in percussion performance. So I actually went over to his house for a day, and I bought him pizza, and we sat around at the kitchen table, and I picked his brain. Like I know all these percussion instruments, but I just picked the hell out of his brain. Like, okay, what does this do, and what's this like to play it, and like what does this sound like? And he was a huge resource for me. So and he's a good friend of mine, because we do drumline together with a lot of the kids in town. So
I like to point out, how must it feel to be so badass that you have a doctorate in percussion?
let me tell you, he went to like Eastman College. Like, it's a really super renowned musical school. There's not very many people that have the educational pedigree that Jake does. And he decided to teach, and he's teaching middle school music.
Wow.
And he's been teaching. My daughter is a drummer. She's going to be going to college next year and she's trying out for the University of Iowa drumline there. But
Wow.
I mean, he has been such a good teacher to her. So special thanks to you, Jake. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you, Jake.
So let's
Come on to Jake.
We need more teachers like you. All right,
man.
so there's a lot of information packed into the College of Percussion content that you've made. There's two new Bard colleges, 3 new backgrounds, 17 new instruments, a faction. Oh my lord! The inclusion of a faction was that if you were in charge of making that decision, excellent, because holy crap, we need more factions. There's also a layer in a short adventure, some really cool NPCs, and lots of magical items in this thing. So the one thing we really want to dig into is, can you tell us about the Bard colleges
Sure.
in this College of
Sure.
Percussion, and kind of how what makes them stand out?
You bet.
They're
Yeah, sure. So percussion instruments are sort of broken into 2 different types. There's pitched percussion instruments and non-pitched. So when you think of a drum, you just hit it, and it really doesn't make a sound, a musical note. But like a xylophone or some things like that, they do. So when I was doing this, I was like, well, maybe I could split this up into 2 different kinds, and just having one be a little more, with musical and sort of healing type and hypnotic and peaceful, and the other one, non-pitch percussion is like, the big drums and stuff that could be more warlike and dealing with combat. So that's how I decided, just thematically, to kind of split those 2 things up.
Sure.
And that really makes sense. One of the features that, first of all, I love all the quotes. You've got lots of cool, famous quotes in here, or
Thanks.
quotes from very popular musicians and stuff, which I think was a very nice touch. So we obviously can't do a full-on class analysis like we would do. So why don't you break down, starting with the pitch percussion Bard?
Sure.
What are 2 key features that the player picks up when they gain this that really lets this class resonate?
Sure. So so I kind of, my intention with the pitch percussion Bard was to kind of make it like a pocket healer. So you can use your Bardic inspiration as on a bonus action to kind of cast sort of cleric type spells, healing and aid and things like that.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, so I mean, you don't get a lot of them, but it's just, like in a pinch, you need it, you can do it. And that starts at 6th level, and then at 14th level, there's an ability called Tonal Dissonance. That's just basically a huge sound of, just a wall of sound that can, if it can go with 30 feet radius, and whoever it hits, it does some damage. You roll your Bardic inspiration dice, it does that damage, and then everybody in that 30-foot radius is stunned if they fail their charisma saving throw, just for 1 round.
That is cool.
So you kind of have to decide, okay, how much damage do I want to do, or do I just want to go for the stun? So it's this a little bit of a decision-making process about how do I want to spend this resource.
I do like the inclusion of using the Bardic inspiration as a healing tool, because technically that's not and maybe I'm understanding this wrong. technically using the Bardic Inspiration doesn't treat that as a spell, which means it is not bound by the same rules as spells. Is that correct?
Right. So how I kind of put it here is you can choose one or more Bardic Inspiration dice. You can cast Aid, Lesser Restoration, Healing Word, or Calm Emotions to anyone within 60 feet.
Right.
And then you can, you can add more dice to it and cast it at a higher level. Just kind of like what a spell. So like if you really need a big, healing word, you can go for it, but you're going to leave yourself with less Bardic Inspiration. So again, it's just managing resources.
Andrew says, I've always wanted a bard who spoke like a coach from Waterboy with the heavy Cajun accent, but I can't do that impression well. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really nice little touch you did, and I think that fits really well. You look like you want to say something. You're waving over here. Are you flailing?
No, I just realized that the people on TikTok can't actually hear him.
No, they can't. So if you're on TikTok and you'd like to join the rest of the conversation, head on over to our Red channel or our Facebook and enjoy the conversation with all of us. It occurs to me they can't. I should probably see if I can figure out a way to fix that. So that really touches on the percussionist, or
that's the pitch percussion. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm dumb and don't get the difference.
No, it's okay. Looking back on that, I should have probably named that something different.
No, it fits, but I'm also just not an instrument person. Also, the layout is done really, really well. Did you do the layout? I don't know.
I found a person in the DM's Guild the Discord, and her name is Hunter Landrum, and she, I don't know if she's done any other products. She just kind of hopped in once, and I saw some of her stuff, and I was like, man, I love your stuff. You wanna work on something with me?
Right.
And she did, and I reach out to her every once in a while, but I don't. She started a new job. I think I don't know how much of this she's really doing anymore, but it's a shame because she does really good work.
Yeah, this is beautiful. So, all right. Do you guys have any questions about that particular subclass before we go on? Because I liked it because I like healer bards a lot. I've argued that Vicious Mockery is single-handedly the best healing spell in the game because no matter what level, a single missed attack will out-heal most spells.
Yeah. It's true.
And so for being able to use my Bardic Inspiration as a way to heal is excellent.
Well, thanks, man.
What about you?
I feel about the same way.
Man, a few words?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
I let my drums do the talking.
So can you tell us about the non-pitch percussion bard?
Yeah. So non-pitch percussion, or things that you think of normally when you think of drums, it's like drums, bass drums, taiko drums. I mean, just anything that you strike together. And this is kind of the hallmark of this is it's kind of deals with war and like the third level you can use a Bardic Inspiration to any willing person within 60 feet. You can move them an additional 10 feet, like it's marching orders. Drums are telling them what to do.
Yeah,
I thought that was thematic, and I loved it. And I didn't want something real strong at third level,
Right.
But I felt like that could really make a difference, sometimes, and just allow that bard to shine a little bit at lower levels.
Yeah, and the fact that not only does it give them extra range of movement, but that movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And to me, that is perfect for the drumline kind of feel, because you're in my mind, as I'm not a skilled instrument person at all, is you're drawing the attention of the enemies with your drums, giving them that opportunity to escape.
Sure, I never thought of that. That's
situations,
cool.
And that to me is just awesome. And I thought that was the drums of battle. I keep wanting to say drums of war.
Yeah.
But that was a really, really, really thematic and unique mechanic that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah,
I
think you could be like that somebody that's getting chased down, like a magic user, or somebody in the back ranks getting chased down. I mean, you could really make a friend that way.
I thought it was safe back here.
Yeah.
So I also realized that you have the drums of panic, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which is like a kind of like an AoE fear.
Yeah.
You
That's
basically-
exactly what it is. It's an
Right.
AoE fear. It's they can make a saving throw every round, and when it break, they can break it, but it's pretty powerful, really. I mean, it's pretty powerful.
And
that
makes me think of Sauron's army, the marching.
Drums in the deep,
Is that what that was called?
Well, no, like they're in what is that?
Moria.
Moria. Thank you. They're down in Moria and they hear those drums going and they start like, oh crap. Right.
Clearly, I'm not hip enough into that because I have no idea what you're talking about, and I've seen those shows. So, I'm just thinking as I'm thinking of these classes and these archetypes. I'm trying to build a character in my mind. In the idea of playing a non-pitched half-orc percussion bard whose drums are the skulls of his enemies, just sounds awesome.
Totally. I mean, you can. That's what's cool. Like, no matter what you play. Whatever ancestry you go with, they all have drummers of one way or another. Like, I mean, you look across, even our own Earth, no matter where you go, there's always drummers. And that is one thing with music. It's just sort of a universal language. So there's going to be drummers everywhere, no matter what you play and where you play them. And, it's just going to happen.
And now the drums are coated with the flesh of my enemies.
Is it sad that the idea of well, actually, if you cut the holes on top of the skulls, you make the holes bigger, it will increase the pitch, therefore the notes.
See, I didn't know that, and that sounds awesome.
One thing I did with this non-pitch too, that I kind of took a lot of flack for it when, from some people that were reviewing, but I made any bludgeoning weapons become finesse weapons.
Oh, nice!
Because you're so used to swinging these mallets and sticks, it's like, yeah, you know what to do with this thing. So, I mean, so if you have a high dexterity as a bard, you could really hit.
Oh, dude, the multi-class potential.
Yeah,
for singing, awesome. Like you can officially play the brutish rogue now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mixing it with the bar. Oh man, dude,
yeah.
So
my own the shadows. Surprise, bitch!
Let's crack some skulls.
Right. And it's thematically, it just makes sense, which is kind of I thought about some of those things and just like, okay, that just makes sense. So let's just add it. It's fun.
It's funny you were talking about people getting flack because I'm going to give you flack about something, and I included it in the show notes because it was very strange. So you've come up with 3 new backgrounds.
Yeah.
Also, I love the impromptu performance roll chart. I think that's awesome. You roll a check, and like the first one is nothing is earned. You get kicked off the street and even attacked. I had me rolling so hardcore, but that seems 0 should be hopefully less nearly impossible. I would hope.
Yeah. Well, if you really screw it up, I mean, it's.
I mean. Like a good bard should bare minimum should be getting a 7.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm laughing. I was like, man, what if you're like Bane and all these other debuffs are on you and you suffered levels of exhaustion and you're just not doing good. Like, anyways, I want to. So the backgrounds you did really, really great on. I wish I had more time to get into those, but there's one particular I want to talk about because there is a very specific build type when it comes to designing backgrounds, and no mechanics is part of that, except unless you count the role-playing thing, which is not a in-game mechanic. But one of yours does have an actual functioning mechanic. The shaman background. Can you tell me about that? Because that stood out to me as something that seems a little risky because now we're going into the power creep. Would you tell us about that power and that feature and why you chose to do that?
Yeah. So the shaman basically is sort of the bridge between spirit world to the material world, and they have a responsibility to use that power to help lead recent dead to their spiritual homes. So what I was hoping to do with this, and what they do is they gain the scrying spell without expending a spell slot once per day, or once per long rest.
Once per long rest. Yep.
And I was just kind of going with theme. You know, I really didn't think about it much. I mean, although it kind of bothers me when I play sometimes that a lot of times we put backgrounds to our characters and it never matters. And nobody, you know, players don't remember it. The DMs, you know, most DMs I think kind of overlook that, you know. And I thought if you had something like this, you'd never ever forget. I mean, because that's a pretty
You
cool
never forget
spell.
it because it's a mechanic. Yeah. That's
Because it's a mechanic. And so anyways, you know, this was also when I was kind of writing this, I was still pretty early in my writing. I never really gave that much of a thought because I was like, hey, thematically that just makes sense. It could be, you know, it could be power creepy, but
yeah.
I think it really gives the player though an opportunity every long rest to really role play the hell out of it, which I think could be a lot of fun. So I don't know. I just decided to go with the rule of cool here.
and that's okay. The reason I was giving you a hard time about it because I'm surprised Wizards of the Coast hasn't done that already. Like they're known for their splat books over the years.
Sure.
But what I liked about this is the fact that you did include a mechanic. What I would have liked to see is some sort of high-end restriction on it. So for those of you who don't know, the casting time for that is 10 minutes. So I would think, okay, I'm going to give you a feature, but maybe the casting time needs to be like an hour as a ritual or something.
Absolutely.
But I definitely thought that this was really cool, and I wanted to pick your brain about it.
Sure. I think if as with anything, if there's something that a player is kind of taking advantage of or kind of it's wrecking the game, I think the DM has the right to put limits on it, you know, talk about it with the player. And you know, if it's wrecking the game, you don't want that. But you know, like I said, you know, if it really brings this character to life, I think it's a win. You know, so
I agree. I agree, and I think you did a great job on the buildings and stuff, and that's why I wanted to ask about that one particularly. We are running short on main topic time, but why do I got a pair of balls on my string? What the hell is that?
Apatisha.
Yes, those are Patika, man.
He added the I have a fever and only one prescription. It's no go-go bells.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So anyways, the one thing I want to talk on is not only do you have these additional player options, you included an adventure and stuff in this.
Yes.
So you can tell us a little bit about that and how does it, you know, what made it honor worthy of your Bard College? Does it lean into that at all?
Yeah. So, you know, when I just wanted to try to like, okay, if you wanted to put drums into your game, we need to put as many things in there as we possibly can so that it's easy for the DM to, so they don't have to imagine anything. It's like, okay, here's a few other things, you know, and you can throw these things in there. So I decided to make a little faction called the Seekers of Kurtlemak. And it's basically this little kobold, this little kobold rubble muck is got kicked out of his tribe, and he's going traveling. He finds this cave, and inside this cave there's this huge petrified egg, and he's like, oh my god, this egg belongs to Kurtlemak, and he is here, and we need to find him. And so they start digging around this egg and going, you know, digging down to try to uncover him. So he doesn't want to fight anybody. He is, you know, he is I believe he's a cleric
Bard mix.
Yeah.
Multi-class.
Rogue.
Yep. Something like that.
A Bard cleric. He's a Bard cleric. Bard 3, cleric 1. And so he's kind of like the spiritual leader of this little tiny, it's like a little cult. And they all play drums, and, you know, because they think the drums will be able to, you know, that Kurtlemak will hear it and, you know, come up to the surface. And and the egg makes these really cool, you know, sounding acoustics when they're playing in there. So, you know, you could just add that into your game, and you could use this as as sort of a base if you wanted to, if you're going underground into dungeons and dungeon delving, and you can earn, you can have them be your little faction where they're quest givers, and you can gain reputation with them and a renown, and it could be a fun little thing. So it's just a way to, it's not really an adventure, but as much as sort of like it could be like just an element within the story.
Yeah. One of the things that I really liked is the inclusion of the plot twist, because it doesn't look like you give actually any exact what's in the egg.
No.
You leave it open, and I absolutely love that. And when I was reading through it, the thing that came to mind is what comes out of it is not fearsome. It's something that comes out with absolute hatred for drums.
Yeah, he comes out, he starts tearing into those kobolds.
He's like, "Why won't you bastards shut up?" I don't know why that's what came to mind.
Oh God,
but,
that would be funny.
All right.
Yeah.
I mentioned this just in chat just now, but this topic made me think, and I do recommend people look at some on YouTube after the show, mind you.
Nice.
That the episode of the Muppet Show back in the day where Buddy Rich and Animal had a drum battle.
Yep.
Nice.
I watched that when it was live, man. That was 1979. My drum teacher told me to watch that, so I literally watched that episode while it was on live.
Ooh,
crazy.
Animal there. He looks like he's a sore. He could be a sore loser. Hey man, if this chain breaks, you're gonna be a sore winner.
All right, so there's obviously a lot to have here. This is a 32-page document. You've got a bunch of inclusion of new musical instruments as well as magical items. We actually have one that we'll talk about in our UTT segment.
Sure.
But is there anything specific you wanted to touch on about this before we move on?
Just one thing, just quickly. It's at the very end of the product. There's percussion music links. I think it's on page 29. And I looked up. Boy, I spent probably a week looking up YouTube videos of like what would give like people sort of ideas and of what kind of instrument they would play if they were doing this. And so all those are hyperlinks to actual, YouTube videos of that percussion instrument being played.
Nice.
So
That's
you
awesome.
can really, so you can kind of get a feel for it. And, so anyways,
there's a
go
guy on TikTok who plays the handpan.
Oh man.
And he's
love
live
those.
streaming all the time. He's got millions of followers now, just because he does it by Lakeside.
Oh, and just so you know, if you look down at the page 29 there, you see that little musical thing. I had everybody that helped me with it. My editor was a drummer. Hunter, who did the layout, is a drummer. And I also had Jeff Stevens. These are all their favorite drum exercise or drum licks.
Nice.
If you see it's Corvin Stevenson, that's actually Jeff Stevens.
That's so dope.
So I asked everybody to give me your best music, like the thing that you love to play, and they gave me, and that's actual music from people that helped put the product together.
That's very cool.
I played percussion in high school, long time ago,
Same.
and
Cool.
I've been seeing these as we've been going through the documents. Like, oh, that's neat. Oh, that looks like it would sound cool. But on page 9, those are notes I've never seen before.
Page 9.
And it completely threw me off.
Let me go up there. Let me see. Page 9. Let's see.
Oh,
that looks like cheat codes to me.
Oh, you know what that is?
That's
That's Africa by Toto.
oh, okay.
That's
Nope.
that's the when the drums first come. That's
That's
that.
so awesome.
So I thought, oh, it's not going to be called Africa. We're going to call it Schult. And it's by Toto, so you can see the last name is Toto
I
on
like
there.
that you
So
tied that in there. That's great.
My cousin of mine would love this. Like my second cousin Bernie, he's actually in the Salvation Army band, and he plays percussion there. So
awesome.
So overall, this is a fantastic product. I love it. I love the design of the classes. I think you really did just a fantastic job
Thank you, man.
overall in the design, and the layout is gorgeous. Just kudos to you and the team overall. It's fantastic. The artwork on the cover, that is awesome. Where did you
Stock art, man.
really?
Stock art, yeah. It's stock
All
art,
right.
and then Hunter, it didn't have the smoke on there, so Hunter and then like the little staff in the back, like she added all that, and the smoke she added.
It's really, really nice.
nice.
And that's actually a magical instrument. That's That's a magical instrument that I talk about in the product.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I should have put that in there. I didn't know that was referencing a
No, that's
specific
cool.
one.
That's cool.
Picked one that I liked.
Yeah, I'm
Tickled my
glad you
dice.
did. Good.
So, I think that'll do it for our main topic. Before we continue on to our unearthed tips and tricks, I would just take the what? My brain just fell apart to mush then. I would just like to take a moment to let everyone know, if you haven't heard, we have released our Capes and Crooks Superhero 5th Edition RPG. You
Yes.
saw that at the beginning of the intro. We've got nothing but positive feedback from those that have picked it up. The one guy did mention that I should have hired a professional graphic designer for the game, and had I had money, I probably would have done that.
Had the Kickstarter succeeded.
But everyone else is loving it. We've had a couple good comments, so I'm super excited. If you haven't picked it up, please do. It took a lot of time and a lot of effort, and was certainly a passion project. And I took D&D 5th edition character building and turned it upside down, hopefully for the better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So please consider checking that out. You can pick it up over at critacademy.com.